Okay. Good. So, as I indicated, this presentation addresses climate services for policy and decision making in Africa. It has been implemented by a set of institutions, and it's a program of the African Union to support environmental management from policy making actually to practices. I would first remind you of the relevant objectives of the Paris Agreement, so that you see which objective of the Paris Agreement this program is working to implement. And we'll spend some time on the services that MESA is providing for climate resilience and sustainable development. We'll have some concluding remarks on the future. What are we planning, and how can the meteorological community to climate services contribute to different programs related to implementation of the Paris Agreement. So MESA is a flagship project under the European Union and African Union collaboration on environment. And its overall objective is to support the design and implementation of policies and plans for sustainable development. And it has a unique feature, which is to blend remotely sensed data, basically satellite data, and in situ observation optimally to generate the services. And it supports a broad range of sectors: disaster risk reduction, policy, strategies, and programs with climate services. It monitors water level. We'll show an example with the monitoring of Kariba lake levels during the past year drought. It also provides environmental information to identify the best planting and harvesting periods, and then to support crop forecasting and food security. So these are the expected results. One of the major expected results of the program, on which we are actually working now, is to provide African policymakers with information that can help actually to make policies and strategies on environment in Africa. It is also expected to support awareness raising on all these data sets that are available for Africa. So the Paris Agreement was actually adopted basically to strengthen the implementation of the UNFCCC Convention because of the acceleration of global warming. So it sets some temperature goals. One, the major temperature goal set is to keep the global warming below 2 degrees C. So with the MESA services, we'll look at Africa and how Africa is coming into play with the 2-degree limit. Is it relevant for Africa, or is it necessary for Africa to consider its own temperature goals? You will see situations which actually support the idea for Africa in its strategy to consider a much lower goal. And then the second objective, specific objective, is to foster climate resilience and particularly adaptation. We'll then show how what services MESA is providing to support specifically disaster risk reduction from policy, plans, and practices perspective. So this is the first output that we have. I should mention that it is all Africa. It is not a sub-region. It is not a country. And ACMA's role now actually is to train experts from other regional climate centers and national met services to do this at the national level and even at the local level if you have historical records. So it is temperature, rank temperature from 2016, actually this year, to 1950. And you can note that 2016 is the warmest in the record since 1950. And particularly for Africa, the level of the warming reached 1.5 degrees. So this raised the question of African strategies on resilience or adaptation to consider the global limit of 2 degrees as actually a goal. I should mention that when we have the 1.5 now, the global warming is actually less than 1 degree. So Africa warming level is well above the global average. And the second most worrying signal is the rate of warming, where you have a 2 degree per century when you start in 1950 and up to 3.6 degree per century when you compute the trend on the past quarter of a century, on the past 25 years. So the warming rate in Africa is actually very, very worrying. So these two findings, these two facts highlight the need for us to look at the global limit with an African eye and probably consider something else for Africa in our strategies and programs. Coming from Ahmad is located in Niger. It's a Sahelian country, and one of the major problems people coming there are afraid of is heat. So we look here at the night temperatures, actually in the projections, to see how far we can expect to go in terms of warming. But here the values are computed with the present day climate as reference. So the map you have there on the, let's say on your left, is the present day night temperatures. The map in the middle is the projected change in the night temperatures with moderate greenhouse gas emission and, let's say, business as usual. As you can see, for the 2011-2040 period, compared to present day, we are having an increase which is robust, because every point where you have a black dot means that the projection signal is robust in different models that we use. So we are having there between 1 and 1.5 additional warming in addition to what we already have now for the 2011-2040 period. It's actually the 3 decades period in which we are now. And in a business as usual case, we reach actually 1.5 or 2 degrees in the Sahel. So this indicates that for specifically those regions in yellow in the second map, there is a need to reconsider those warming targets, those warming goals. And then put emphasis also on mitigation, because of course we are facing, we will try to work more on adaptation. But when one looks at the temperature patterns, Africa also needs to put some emphasis on mitigation. If we can contribute to all efforts to reduce greenhouse gases, we will actually be better off after. This plot introduces the product that we have now as a contribution actually to disaster risk reduction. in practice. The IPCC has recognized that seasonal forecast, in fact, is a tool for adaptation. So one of the ideas we are putting across is that in the coming adaptation programs, financial support in particular should be provided to meteorological services and regional services to organize regional climate outlook forums. We provide seasonal forecast. So ACMAT, as a continental center, is implementing this for Africa, and it has been designated last year as a regional climate center for Africa by WMO Congress. So all the products you have here followed the best practices and standards of this organization. So this plot actually mentioned one of the products that we developed in MESA called Africa Drought Monitor, where we blend the meteorological drought, the agricultural drought, and the hydrological drought indices to actually provide you every month with an African map locating areas under different levels of drought severity. And it is a product generated by blending satellite and existing in situ data. The satellite used is called Sentinel-3A. It is a recent satellite launched by European Space Agency and operated by MESA. Okay, so this is from this blending of existing station observation and satellite data, we can plot the precipitation patterns in Africa. This is the precipitation from January to September this year, actually compared to the average of 81-2010 period. You will note that the two North and Southern Africa have drought, and then in between we have areas which recorded heavy rainfall, sometime usually at the seasonal time scale above average rainfall. So one message that one may have from this, because this pattern is being observed quite often, some parts of Africa are having more rainfall, other not. So it means that in some way, in terms of food production, some parts of Africa are getting more food production when others are in deficits. And it raised the issue of having, at the continental level, a grain reserve where we put the excess production from one part to support the other part of Africa. And this will be, I think, very good to accelerate integration of African countries at the level of the populations and communities. This second one is a product from the satellite I just showed you. I should mention that this satellite came into operations quite recently. So there is a need at the country level to train experts, particularly in national med services, to use data from this satellite. So this is a plot. As many of you know here, last year was characterized by severe drought over Southern Africa. It is a region with a rainfall season starting in October, ending in March, April. And last year was a severe drought during the first and even the second part of the rainy season there. And here you can see in yellow the hydrological, the water level actually in the Kariba Dam is one of the largest artificial lakes in the world actually. And this pattern of 2015-2016. So compare with the previous year is indicating water levels at levels that are really very worrisome. The limit at which this dam can be used to produce electricity is 475 meters. And this plot indicates that in January and February 2016, the water level actually was close to the limit for it to produce electricity. And when we presented this yesterday, some participants indicated that actually they had to stop production of electricity because the level actually reached that limit. So this is a simple case showing the importance of activities to monitor and, if possible, forecast the water levels in different dams and even rivers that we have in Africa. So you can see the latest plot until November. This is now for the 2016-2017 hydrological